Spring application. I'll quickly go over that a little bit later. But with that, I would like to get started by imploring you to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments, because the more people subscribe, the more the content gets pushed out. The algorithm sends it out to more viewers, and those viewers can then join the community and post requests, or they can share tips and tricks, which I'll share with all of you. For example, right now in the background, I'm actually working on some really fun stuff, which I'll share with you pretty soon, very soon, in literally just a few days. There's a lot of stuff going on, and everything is related. Don't worry, everything's related. You guys will see that soon. Okay, on to the intro. So you see, I'm getting really good with the intros now. The only thing I still dislike, I dislike that font, but it says right there, simple keyframe spring tutorial. Okay, so on to the show. All right. So as you can see here, this is an animated AVIF file, but basically this is what we're going to do here. There's more stuff that didn't actually show up. The lighting came out really well. I'm pretty happy with that. However, there's actually another model here. There should be another model here which is created by the grease pencil. I guess that didn't get exported. I'm guessing I don't know if that's a bug with the GLTF or maybe the GLTF export, but there should be another one. And another thing that did not work is the animation is actually a spring. It goes like this. That also did not come out for some odd reason. It's because I'll show you how I created this. It's basically a circle. I used one modifier to obviously swirl it like this. Then I used another modifier to be able to do the spring action. I'm guessing the second one did not come out. And there's also, they said there should be a simple one which is just a grease pencil. That one also did show up as well. It might be, maybe it's too thin, but this is clearly zoomed in. I'm not sure why it's not able to. It's not showing up here. But we'll see that. Maybe you guys can solve it. I'm not sure. Okay, so. I think I've actually already explained everything here. So the lighting is provided by an HDR image, which is actually the Courtyard EXR, which I obtained from Blender 4.5 LTS. I don't think it has changed in 5.0. I haven't looked into the 5.0 files yet. I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed. Sorry, I'm not pretty sure. I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure. But it's the one, so if you want to get it, it's the one there. It's just called courtyard.exr. I just converted to HDR because with the model viewer, I noticed that EXR didn't work as well. Didn't work as good, so I had to convert. I still have to convert to HDR. Hopefully there will be a fix for that, or maybe I might move away from this model viewer and just use something like 3JS, which I know supports GLTF's probably even better. But it's just a simple way where you don't have to, just use a CDN and you're good to go. I think there's also 3JS. I believe there's 3JS also a CDN, so maybe you can do that. But we'll take care of that in a future tutorial. Okay, and then obviously you see we're gonna imitate a spring squash and stretch sets using the color will be a rustic color material. And you can add the optional grease pencil layer. So you can, if you want, you can put the grease pencil. You can also swirl it around if you wish, or for the spring, or keep it separate. Make it also spring as well. I'll show you all that. Don't worry. So and then to run from the so we run this on the command line. Just Blender space the name of the blend file, and then -b. Or hyphen background, or is it running background, and hyphen Python, or just hyphen capital P, and then the name of your Python file. Or what you can do is you can remove this blend part and just put everything in the Python file, and then now generate just like here to generate the Python file and the GLB file. The GLB just stands for, the B stands for binary. It's a binary version of the GLTF, which is a JSON format. Okay, so here is the Python script. If you want to get started, you can just use that. if you're impatient. And then as I said before, for lighting, I just use the Courtyard EXR. I'm not going to talk about it again because I've explained it. And then you just need some basic HTML. And I said we're using a CDN for the model-view. That's the one that loads the binary GLB file. Okay, then I quickly explain here that the format here has limited support. EXR is even more limited. KTX and KTX2, these are supposed to have very good support in modern browsers. However, I haven't. The problem is the converters, for example, to convert the Courtyard.exr to KTX or KTX2, I couldn't find any converters. Now the Kronos group does have converters for this, but they're kind of dated, and either you have to compile yourself, which I don't feel like doing. So, but that might be a good thing. Maybe I could run that in the distro box in the future. But for now, I was hoping something like GIMP or even ImageMagick would have it, but they don't. Open source alternatives include Radiance HDR EXR and PNG lighting maps for low dynamic range. So I might actually use that in the future, because that way I don't have to rely on conversions and all this type of stuff. So as you can see here, this is the screenshot of the Blender scripting workspace. So as you can see, after this is the script that generates the spring, and this is the layout workspace. And if you see properly, you can see down here, this one here, so going up, it's actually pretty thin, but you'll see that's the actual grease pencil. And this is it in the not animation, shading workspace. And see, when you export it, because see the difference, the reason it looks different is because by default Blender uses the forest EXR image, or high dynamic range. So I'm using the Courtyard. I like the Courtyard because the Courtyard has multiple has multiple lighting. For example, there's a shaded part, there's one where it's very sunny, and then there's one that is the reflection is like a dog sitting down, there's sand. So that's why I like using it, because you can get like really good effect, and I think it looks pretty nice. So this is live. For example, I press this. Okay, I don't know if you could hear that. It's there we go. So it's live. So I'm gonna go and end it right about here. Now, in case you forgot, I think I still have the Spring application. I didn't delete it yet. Yes, I do. I call it Spring. It's called Elastic. So if you don't remember yet, in the previous tutorial, I showed you this, where you can set the initial velocity, damping ratio, stiffness, mass, and epsilon. And there's also interactive. For interactive, for example, when you set any of these values, for example, if I go like this, you see that? So, for example, if I increase the damping, you see what happens? That's what happens. So it's down. If you increase the stiffness, that's what happens. You see that? And then obviously epsilon. I don't know what epsilon does, honestly. I forgot to look. I was supposed to look. And then mass. This is a nice one. You see that? What happened? So, for example, if we increase the mass more, and then we increase, say, the stiffness. Oh, was it decrease the stiffness? There we go. You see that? So I'm saying is, once you're happy with that, you can also go and take a look at the graph, and you can see the graph goes like this. Basically, it's exponential, then it goes down and slowly, and then you see basically it stabilizes. So if you can also do the effect where it goes up, down, up, down. So if I change down the initial velocity, see down, it's going to go down, up, and then that's how the graph's going to look like that. We're going to check it out here. There we go. See, it slowly slowly stabilizes. So saying if you wanna get the elastic effect, you can do that, and then you can do that for your spring effect. And then there's also Courtyard Java C. There's C, JavaScript, Python, Rust, and Val. Obviously, this is meant for the GNOME application, but if you're not creating a GNOME application in any of these languages, the thing is, the most important thing is you can still get these values: mass, epsilon, damping ratio, and stiffness. And there's also the settings. If you go to preferences, you can see you can also, instead of using a damp ratio, you can just prefer damping. All right, so now I'm going to show you the code, HTML and Python. The reason I'm leaving this here is in case I said I always update my system once a week. So when I write these tutorials, I write them usually sometimes anywhere up to a month. So what happens is when I update, it might break things. So that's why I'm just gonna move this to the trash right now. So that way, if things are broken, I can still pull them back, and I can have this I can have these two applications running. I mean, I can still show you what happens here. Can I just type for text? Text? No. I don't know why. One thing I dislike about GNOME 43 is I can't simply just search for, I think it's text editor. I don't know why I can't just type. I disliked when GNOME did this. They renamed them. I guess they made it easier for beginners. Why can't I open that in the text editor? That's weird. Okay, I'll just drag and drop it. Okay, there we go. So I'll go over the HTML first because it's easy. If there's a user doc type, HTML tag. The reason you see this is because I do a copy paste. I just copied from the previous one, so that acts like a template. There's this and this part here are not really needed. The viewport, I set it to the device width, initial, scale 1. The title is just low poly animated string, and obviously this is the most important part here. This is a module. You see it's using a CDN on park.com, and you can see model-viewer. And then styling, I'm not going to talk about that. Styling is subjective. You style it any way you want. So here I have an H1 tag. It just says low poly animated string model. And the model-viewer, this is the key part. The source will be the name of our GOB file. That's the GLTF file, the binary one. Alt tag, meaning if it doesn't exist, it will just say low poly animated string. And then the option that I have is auto-rotate, camera-controls, AR, shadow-intensity. I set that to 1. Environmental-image. This will be our courtyard HDR. You see here it's a symlink. Because you see the size is 2.1 megs. So remember, I've done a lot of Blender tutorials. I didn't want to copy it over and over again. I just used the symlink, so that way it takes up no space. You set animation -name to animation, and this will actually get the animation. You have to do this for this model-viewer, and then autoplay. If there's any animation, it will automatically play. That's what this two go together. All right, and that's it. Now let's go to the Python. I'll go to the top here. We import the Blender Python module. We import math, because the math utils, because we're going to use it for color, and also we import math because we're going to use radians. Because if you remember, Blender uses radians by default. You don't know what that is. That means that, for example, if you're doing colors, instead of RGB like 255, 255, 128, 128, 128, is you have to do 0 to 1. It's also same thing with degrees. So I can't put, for example, 90 degrees, rotated 90 degrees. I have to put it in radians. So that's why I import the math here. And I also import, so what I'm saying is it's not needed if you want to hard code it. And there's also the OS. This is also not needed if you want to hard code it, but I like to generate the Blender file and the GLB file relative to where this Python script is. So that's why I get the OS, so that way I'll be able to, for example, you see it will be generated right here. And so by default it will generate in different places, like the temp folder or in your home folder, so you have to go searching for them. I want them to be generated relative to where the Python file is. Okay, then we also have some variables here. the Blender file name, the export file name, that'll be the GOB file. And then here I have this script directory. So this is no longer needed, but I left it here because this helps me. For example, sometimes there's a bug in the Blender version that's in the Fedora repositories. So what I do is I might use a Flatpak version. So the Flatpak by default it's restricted. It's because it's a sandbox. The sandbox to only be in your home folder. So I don't want that because I use Blender as, for example, as my video editor. For example, if I'm working on AI stuff, I'll probably be in the AI partition. So I want to be able to edit stuff there and save it there as well. So that's why I'm saying that I don't want that restriction, especially if I run some Python scripts. So that's why I have this. This will be able to get exactly where I am and it will work perfectly. All right, and then here we have some other variables. These are specific to this tutorial. There's a scale, there's location, and this is the screw modifier. So this is the one we're going to animate. Unfortunately, this doesn't exist in the, or it's not converted into a GLB version that will be, but it does work for Blender, and that's fine. And then the axis index, that to true. The rust, this is the color. You see, this is from the Matthew Tales. We get the color. We set the color here. This is RGB. And then we have our usual utility function. This just clears the scene. As you can see, grabs all the objects and then links them. So the reason I do this is because at the time of this recording, Blender 5.0, which is, it's not a long-term support at least, but it's the latest version of Blender. It comes with a default cube, default light, and what's the other thing it comes with? Camera. It comes with a camera. So I don't need any of those. However, you might say, well, let's say in the future you need one of them. That's fine, you can grab them. But the point is that creating a script relying on something that might be removed in the future or might have extra stuff in the future doesn't make sense. So I just clear them and you can create your own. Also, by deleting them, you when Blender breaks, for example, Blender 5.0, the Python stuff broke some stuff. So I mean the code did have breakable changes. The problem is if you're relying on something or the way to grab it in the past, you see, then you have to go back and fix all your scripts. So by deleting them and just creating your own, you won't have those issues. So that's what this function does. Then we have this one which creates materials. It takes in the name and the color. So basically it creates it's going to use the principled BSDF, and you just get the base color value to the color that you send in. I see it's RGB, and this is the alpha, obviously 1.0 means it will be fully opaque. Okay, and then we return the material, and then here is the meat, or if you will, the main part of our today's tutorial. It says if it will call this function to clear the scene, then it will create it use that create function as well to create the material. We're creating a rust color, so that it will create the material, so we have it there. Then the grease pencil, this is the optional part. You see, we use the grease pencil. Now, if you remember, I told you guys I'm going to do more grease pencil stuff because I want to update my current book called Mastering Blender Python and add more grease pencil stuff. Grease pencil it's really versatile. It's actually, I think they're going to rename it to annotations because, for example, you can scribble on your video. You can also animate it. I'm saying you can create like similar to something like Inkscape, you know, SVGs. You can do vectors. It's 2D is what I'm saying. So it's not just like writing. There's so many awesome things you can do with the grease pencil. So I want to do that using obviously Python. Okay, so this is how you do it in Blender 5.0. It's a little bit different than how you did it in Blender before 5. So it's there, and see, I'm the only one who has Blender Python tutorials for 5.0 and with the grease pencil. So I want to get to that. I'm still learning because a lot of tutorials out there they're using the old way and that doesn't work. It didn't even work in 4.0. I don't think there's any person who actually even attempted to do. Even I just gave up in the Blender 4 series who actually did any Blender Python using the grease pencil. Okay, then after that we do the animations. We're using keyframes for our grease pencil object. So as you can see here, that's how you set it up. We do it at what is it here? Keyframe 1, keyframe 10, keyframe 20, and keyframe 30. So 30 basically. I don't know. I don't remember what the FPS is. I should actually have put the FPS up here, but yeah, that's it. Oh no, because this is not a video. Sorry, so it doesn't matter. And then after that, oh, we already talked about that. Sorry. Then we create our coil, helical coil object, mesh object. So we use a circle. You'll be wondering, circle? Yes, a circle. So what do we use? We use the circle. Then what we do is we give it a name. Here, helical wire spring. We put a location there, and we transform. As you can see here, we apply the transform because we're putting it. You see here, this is 90 degrees on the x-axis. You see, that's why we imported the math module, because it's radians. So remember I told you that, so it's going to be like that. Then we add our screw modifier. So the screw modifier worked beautifully because what it did was it added that spiral to our mesh, our circle. And then so then we go. Now we have our we have our whatever, the spring object, if you will. Then after that, we need to add another modifier. Where is it? Where is the modifier? Oh, I use the screw. Okay, I guess I use the screw modifier to. I thought I added another modifier. It looks like I did not. So what I mimicked the spring effect simply just using the screw modifier stuff. So that you can see here again, frame 1, frame 10, frame 20, and frame 30. Then after that, the camera light and the camera and the light setup. What I did was I added a new camera. See, when you add a new camera, it's automatically selected. So I'm saying it's much easier than trying to figure out what the name of the camera is, etc., etc. So put it in that location, and we grab. That's how you grab it. Then we also add a light. We use the point light. We put this location, and then we give it a data energy of 1000. After that, we save the. We can we get a name of the blender file, and then now export the export file GLB. So you can see here, and then after that we save the blend file. That's how we save it. And then after that we select everything. So when you select all, when you do this, it's not just going to select. It's going to select the camera. It's going to select the light. It's going to select the what's the other thing? Camera, the grease pencil object, and our helical mesh. And then after that we do this file export path, export format to GLB because we want binary, apply true, y up true, export animations because remember we have two animations, true, and use selection yes, and we that's it. We're done, and then we can call a function. So this is object-oriented programming. You can just call one function and to run all of that for us. See, that was only 168 lines. If I remove obviously some of these comments, it will be actually less, but you get the point. So that's it. So now what I can do is I can simply jump to the command line here, type blender space -b to run in the background, space -p, capital P, and then the name of our Python file, and then press enter. See, I'm using Blender 5.0 and it's done, just like that, in a blink of an eye. You see, this, let me zoom out here so if you guys want to read that. So there you go. You see how quickly that is? It, boom, just like that. You see, it has, now you see it created a blend file and it created our GLB file. Now, I am let me do one more thing so I don't have to come back to the command line. So I'm going to use Python to use. You need an HTTP server for to load that module, the model viewer. So Python space -m space http.server and then the port number, I'll use 8000. Just press enter. So you see, this is the built-in Python development server. So it'll open, it's gonna so you're gonna serve an HTTP on 0.0.0 port 8000. Just click this link and you'll be able to see our model. However, I'll come back to this later. So the reason I use 0.0.0.0 is this allows me to use something like localhost. I could also use 127.0.0.1. I could use the IP address of this machine. That's important because that means that anything connected to the network, whether it's my phone, my laptop, any other device, will be able to go to put in the IP address of this workstation, and they'll be able to see the model locally, of course. All right. Oh, of course, if I had something else like Apache, Nginx, or any other HTTP server, it will work as well. All right, with that said, let me open up this blend file. So remember, this blend file was created, so I'll just double click on it, and Blender is going to open up, and you can see it's a fully, and you can see here, this is the grease pencil, this long little line thing there, that's the grease pencil. That one didn't get exported, but you can see this, so that's the grease pencil here. Let me see if I can move this. There we go, so you can see, I'm zooming a little bit. So the grease pencil is very, very thin, but the grease pencil is there, as you just saw. And I'll prove it later as well. You can even, let me make this a little bit. So you see here, we do have the grease pencil, and you see this is the grease pencil. Yeah, I made it shorter, but you can see the grease pencil is there as well. So the grease pencil is there, and obviously this is a helical product, the object, and this is our light. Obviously, I have to zoom out for you to see it, and then this is our camera. So you can't see both. I have to zoom out. Yeah, here we go. So you can see the camera is here, and our light is right here. So they're there. Now, all you have to do is, if you take the code, you just go to scripting tab, click new, and then you paste the code here, and then you click run. Okay. And if you want to go to the shading, so if you go to shading here. So this is our, which one is selected? Oh, so this is selecting the light. So you can click here, and now I'm selecting the helical object. You can see this is the rustic color. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see that's the settings for the rustic color. And if I select the grease pencil object, you see this is the grease pencil object here. It doesn't use normal materials here. But what you could do is, it doesn't use normal materials. Because it's just a grease pencil, so it does exist. So what you could do is, which one is this up here? I'll have to go back, I think, to the layout. Yeah, so if you go to layout, which one is it? I think there's something called 2D, and that's where you can go to edit, and you can view it there as well. So, I want to show you. So you see here we have the animation. Let me actually go back to the shading. I think that will be easier for you guys to see. Shading, here we go. Let's move this down here a little bit. So I'm gonna move this up. Why can't I? Well, that's not a split. Okay. Anyway, I think if I press spacebar, you'll see it play. Yeah, there we go. See, I press spacebar. I didn't make it auto loop, but you can see it stretches up and down here. So let me go back to layout. I think layout will be the easiest way to see. You see up here, you see here's the timeline, right? This is what I was trying to say. You see the timeline? So that's a simple animation. So what happens? It just goes up and down, like an accordion. The grease pencil does the same thing. I'll show you that in a second. So let's actually select, if we go here, select the viewport shading, so you can see the color. Now I'm going to click the helical object here, the spring, and I'll show you. For example, we go to modifiers. You see, there's only one modifier. It's a screw modifier. I removed the other. So there's a screw modifier. You can see the settings for the screw modifier. It's also there in the Python code. So watch what happens when I go somewhere else. You see here, this value for the screw changes. You see when I go down, you see that? That's all I animated. See that? That's all I animated. on the z-axis. That's all I did. Now let's hide this, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see the grease pencil. There we go. So the grease pencil should also have some animations. It looks like what happened to, yeah, so the grease pencil also has its own animation. You see that? It also has its own animation as well. So both of them were animated. Yeah, both of them were animated, and you can yeah. So that's what I wanted to show you. So if you see them both together, I get to zoom out. So you see this is the grease pencil and this is the other one. So you can see both of them. You see there, the grease pencil kind of looks like it disappeared, and then it shows up again. So both of them are animated. That was all done with Python. I didn't touch any of this. Now, yeah, that's it. So I just use a screw modifier, and basically what you do is you go to add. You can do a search for screw. You just type screw. You see it's screw, and this was what added, and you just set to whatever you want. So X, Y, Z, and etc. If you want to do that. Okay, so I just want to show you that it is a spring. So one of the problems I had also up here, if I go here, go to File, go to Export, you see there's GLTF, and I was trying to, unfortunately, when you try to save, none of those things show up in the Python info console. So that kind of sucked because I was hoping to see what settings to use, so I had to basically do a try and error, but it did not work. I wasn't able to get the grease pencil, which is because that's the one I want. It could be that maybe it's too thin. If you make it thicker, that might be better. I'm not sure, but that could probably be it. It might exist, or maybe because it's the same color as the HDR image. I don't know why it's not showing up. But this is basically what it's supposed to look like. You see, it's supposed to animate that. All right. I'm not going to save anything here. So all now we need is a web browser. So I'm going to open up a web browser. I'm going to use the Chromium browser here, and I'm just going to use localhost 8000, and I can pick the HTML file here, and you can see there it is. You see it's not doing the accordion, right? And I said I think it actually looks better here than even in Blender. The only problem is not doing the accordion effect. So I'm working on some things. If I'm able to figure it out, or if you guys are able to let me know what is wrong, is the problem with the model viewer, or should I just give up on the model viewer and start using something like 3JS? If you guys know another way to load models from Blender, I would love to hear it. So basically, in the center here, there should actually be move this up here. Yeah, so you can see there's no grease pencil. This is really zoomed in. So you can rotate it each way, any way you want. There we go. Turn it, etc., etc. It looks more like a donut, only like a very thin skin donut. But there you go. So that's how you do it. That's the tutorial. Okay. So in order not to spend waste too much of your time, I'll let you guys go quickly. So let's quickly go to the conclusion. You have now created a simple spring style animation using Blender 5, Python scripting, and displaying it directly inside a web browser using the model viewer. This beginner workflow teaches you the foundations of 3D automation, web display, and HDR environment lighting. Experiment with changing keyframes or using more advanced physics as you become comfortable. So I do have a book called Learning Python. It's available on Amazon. I also have another book called Mastering Blender Python API. It's also available on Amazon. I created that one, I believe, using Blender 4.0. So obviously everything there does work with Blender 4.5. I tested it. And some things are obviously broken. No, they won't work in Blender 5.0. So I don't mind doing a Blender 5.0 update of that book. But I'm waiting until I can add some extra fun stuff like the grease pencil. So that's why I'm saying I'm making more grease pencil stuff. I want to incorporate it more, and then I'll be able to add that with a revision of that Mastering Blender Python API book. I also have courses especially the Learning Python course. It's available on jamboshop.com. The link is in the description. I used that course Web IDE a lot last year when I was doing everything I did in Python last year. I used the Web IDE. So all you need to do is you pay a one-time payment, and you have access to the course for as long as you pay. It's not a subscription, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, if you need coupons for that, let me know. I could generate some. And then finally, if you need one-on-one Python and Blender tutorials, I'm available for private online lessons at ojambo.com/contact. Or if you want some more advanced stuff, you can contact me at jamboservices.com. Links are all in the description. I have some other recommended resources. I live in a rural area, so there's no internet. The cellular service is sporadic, so I use SpaceX Starlink residential service. If you're thinking of getting it, please use my referral link. Help me out it will give me 1 month free, and you will get a massive discount as well. For example, in Canada right now, you get the equipment for free. And you also the type of discount and its duration will depend on your geographical location, but you will get a significant discount. I also have the Honeywell HeatBad personal ceramic heater. That's available on Amazon. That's my affiliate link. What that means is that it has two settings, low and high. Low is 170 watts, high is 250 watts. It also has a trip protection. When it tips over, it will turn off. I have one in front of me right now, as you can see. I can lift it up briefly. It saved me hundreds of dollars in propane costs, because here in the middle of nowhere, the propane has to be trucked in, and it's very expensive for heating. So I use the space here only to heat my personal space. My personal space right now is just this desk, and it works extremely well. Okay, I've talked ad nauseum about how much, again, I saved literally hundreds of dollars. So, and even right now it started snowing and getting very cold in October. All of October I never switched on the heater. I switched on November 1st. I set it to 15 degrees Celsius, and I've been fine. And some of the days and nights it's been getting down to like -16. For example, today is very, very cold. Even right now it's very, very cold, and I'm glad the first thing I do, wake up in the morning, take care of the chickens, and run back into the house, warm up briefly, clear the driveway, and that's it. Go have breakfast and prepare for this live stream and do some work as well. Okay. Then, speaking of Amazon, I also have my first novelette. It's called The Algorithmic Serpent. There you go. It's created by me, the author, Erodo Jambo. It's about a scientist who creates an AI system and loses his mind, so he has to regain control of his mind and the AI system. This is the back. Show you a few pages there. This is the paperback version. There's also an ebook version. You can get both of them or one of the other. They're very affordable. I made them at almost at cost. So this one, for example, the majority of the cost is for printing and shipping, and for the ebook version, it's for storage costs. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for the ebook version for free. So if you have the means, pick it up and let me know what you think. I love writing and just programming books. Speaking of my first book that has nothing to do with programming, it's the Recession Business Blueprint. It's a guide to help you start a business during a recession. I started my business in 2009 during a recession, and I didn't even know there was a recession. I found out, I think, 1 or 2 years later, there was a recession. It made sense. But basically, if you don't know what a recession is, it's the time when a lot of people are getting laid off. Grocery prices go up. The talking heads will tell you that, oh, everything is great, or will be great, or fantastic, or what is that thing they always say? The recession is if 2 cycles or 1 cycle, that's nonsense. You can just tell the prices are higher. The young people feel down that they won't be able to find a career. That's a perfect recession. Like when you go about a town anywhere, you don't see like, hey, we're hiring, right? Or if there's people are hiring, you'll see so many people show up. Maybe like there's 2-3 positions, and then 100 people, 1,000 people show up. That's a recession. Okay, it's very simple to tell. So we're in a recession right now. You can start your own business. So this blueprint, the way I wrote it, I've shown. I did one tutorial where I went over it and I showed all the pages. So I wrote it in 2 ways. so if you're a visual person, you want to see the visual, there's a lot of tables. And if you like the written part, there's enough text, meaning that I explain both ways. So for example, I'll give you an example, like a budget. If I tell you you have to budget, for example, for your cost, your fixed cost, anything like that. So there's a table, so you can simply look at the table. Some people just need a little push. So the table will probably be enough for them, so that's there. And some people want to read and understand everything, the text is also there. So I have you covered. And when I started my business, I did everything myself. For example, I did all the accounting, all the legal stuff. For example, I knew more than some of the so-called experts. For example, like insurance. People are telling me like, oh, you need like business interruption insurance. You need what is the other one? One of the funny ones. They were saying that you need I forget the name of this. There's this insurance where if you write code and it messes up a business, you're liable. And I told them, no, that's not how it works, because so I had to explain to these people. They didn't even know that stuff, right? Even lawyers didn't understand that. So my point is that so I have this guide for you that will help you understand all of that. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in a live chat, or you can contact me and I'll help you out. That's what I do. I like to improve and help people out. Right, so if you want to know more about me, I have a blog for every article I write. I write probably close to 100% of all the articles on ojambo.com. I do have some guest authors, but I write majority of the stuff. So I wrote a little blog for everybody. So for myself, I'm a software engineer, web developer. I call myself a programmer and an author. So you can read more about me there. And my books, I have a book page on Amazon. The link is right there. It's also in the description. If you need support, ojamboservices.com for all consultations. The link is also in the description. And if you're ready to learn, my online courses at ojamboshop.com. The link is also in the description. It's right there for any blog. Just pick any article, it will be there. Now, ways to contact me. You can write a comment. Now, for example, comment for the article, make sure it actually has something to do with obviously the article, the blog topic or something like that. If it's not, don't worry, because this one closes after about 10 days. The best way to contact me is go to the contact forms, ojambo.com/contact, ojamboservices.com/contact, ojamboshop.com/contact. That's the best way to contact me. And then if you want to follow me, I have the channels. There's Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube. For example, right now I'm live streaming to all 4 of them at the same time. There we go. Now, with that said, I think that's the end. I'd like to remind you that you should subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments, because what happens is the more people subscribe, the more the content gets, the algorithm sends it out to more people. Those people can join the community, share information, which I will then do a little research and I'll share with everybody, so everybody benefits. Okay, I'm gonna now go to the outro, and I'm gonna show you that if you wanna see what's upcoming, you simply go to ojambo.com, you go to the watch menu, live summary. You can see this is what we've done today, and tomorrow we are continuing this spring elastic spring theme. We're going to create one just in pure HTML5. We're not going to rely on Blender or anything. We're just going to create one, and we're going to use those things from that application, the elastic application. Okay, and then after that we have another fun little tutorial. So you guys let me know if you want me to continue this HTML5 and PHP stuff, because I said there's a lot of like AI and applications that I'm getting overwhelmed with. Some people even ask me to review stuff, so but I can't fit it in here, so I'll have something has to give, is what I'm trying to say. Similar to how Git, I stopped doing Git stuff because there's so much information out there, so I like to get rid of one or both of them for now. They can come back later. And then obviously something is missing here. I said I'm working on something special for AI. It's going to come in here, and then after that we'll have a self-hosted stuff. There we go. Okay, so before I let you go, I'm going to check all the live streams to see if there's any live chats. So I'm checking Odyssey, nothing there. Go to Rumble, nothing there. Oh, there we go. Strongbuy came back to BitChute. Hi, Strongbuy. Talks about the Bitcoin. Says Bitcoin going under 50K by the end of the month. Okay, thank you, Strongbuy. I don't know what that has to do with Blender, Python, Spring Animation, but okay. And in YouTube, there's nothing here. Okay, so that's fine. I will let you guys go, and I'll see you in the next one.